Hello and welcome back to Podcasting is Praxis. I'm David, my pronouns are he and him.
I'm James, and my pronouns are they and them.
And I'm Jamie, and my pronouns are also he, him.
And that's all we've got, because at the moment Rob is still on fucking holiday. We've been on holiday, we've come back, and Rob is still on holiday, and Alistair took the night off, which is fair enough. And, shade towards Rob, none towards Alistair. And we have been given homework over the holiday, thanks Jamie, to watch 3 wonderful, wonderful films on the topic of barbarians.
Yeah, this was... what was this about originally?
Well, we just said we wanted to do a cultural committee on barbarian films, and I think it was basically me and you, Jamie, shanghaied everyone else into it.
No,
So,
it was the fucking Clinton thing.
what?
From 2020. It was the bet you made with David, if Clinton was going to be the nominee or not.
Oh, we were going to get David to do it with, right, David, you got to put down your vape.
Unfortunately, I'm going to invoke the statute of limitations here, so no.
Ah, well, fair enough, I suppose. It just means I've got to get you next time, Gadget.
I mean, feel free to try, but I'll just simply be right about everything from now on, and you'll never get me. He-Man.
I mean, that sounds like a foolproof plan to me. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Jamie made me watch 3 terrible films.
Yeah. They're great, actually.
They're fucking shit, mate. They're shit.
I will correct that. 1 excellent film and 2 solidly bad films in my book.
I don't know what you want. You know what I mean? They were all good. I mean, obviously one of them was miles better than the other 2. But
How was it?
right, well, you see, between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Aryas, there was an age undreamed of.
Fuck's sake.
No, I'm extremely here for this. Let's go.
Yeah. So the first one we watched was Conan the Barbarian, which is a fucking stone cold masterpiece.
Yes,
How?
unironically.
I don't know if I just didn't get it or something. Like, what was so good about it?
It's just fucking great. Do you know what I mean?
It's spectacular from start to
Yeah.
finish. What? Right, okay, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Conan the fucking Barbarian and just absolutely selling it, like,
Yeah.
every step of the way.
You've
got...
the Terminator versus Darth Vader and
Yeah.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah,
What's not to like?
exactly.
I know that, and I still didn't get it.
And what didn't you get about James Earl Jones just chewing the scenery spectacularly as False Doom?
His performance was all right. Like, it wasn't a bad performance. I get
It was
that.
a
I rate
great
the
performance!
Yeah, I rate the performance. You're right. He was chewing scenery. That was good, but one performance is not enough to save a film by that metric.
Arnold's performance was excellent as well.
Yeah.
Absolute breakthrough in my book.
But that metric, you could say that The Rise of Skywalker was a good film.
No, not even close. Like, I don't understand how you come to that.
Because if one scenery chewing experience is all you actually need to make a film good, then, that was a good film.
Oh, David, I just fundamentally
you
at
made
times...
a rod for your own back there, James. Like, why would you argue that it's only a good film because James Earl Jones is taking bites out of the furniture?
It's not only. It's just that these are features that make it absolutely sublime.
No, but, right, that's fine, but sell it to me. What did I miss? What did I not get?
Okay, first of all, did you fundamentally like the narrative arc in the film? Yeah, no, okay. Did you like the music in the film, David? Though admittedly you are a self-established weirdo about music, so this one might be the clincher.
I mean, it is the greatest movie soundtrack ever.
It didn't stand out like that much to me. Red Sonja had a better one, I
Give me
think.
strength, Jesus.
The Red Sonja soundtrack was quite good.
I'll sort of half give you that one. I didn't think the Red Sonja soundtrack sucked. I just think
It's
everything
Ennio
else
Morricone,
about
so
it
it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's Morricone. This was Basil Pulidaris. Is that how you say that?
I think so, question mark.
Can't fucking tell you.
Well, Rob's not here to fucking correct me, so let's go with that. But yeah, it's it's an absolutely banging soundtrack, and like Schwarzenegger's great, but I think like everyone in it's great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think there's a single bad performance in it, honestly.
Yeah,
like even the extras like are really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't think performance was something that I was like annoyed about or like, you know, felt disappointed with or anything like that. I think it was just generally the story itself.
I think it's great. It's one of the few like sort of like sweeping epics that I just really like get along with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it manages to be both a revenge story and a lot more, like, which is very rare, and it does it, like, what I really love about it, I'm going to come clean here, so, Conan the Barbarian, what I like about this film is it manages to do quite a lot with relatively little, which is very, like, there are layers to what's going on in the story, to the performances, to all of it, that when you actually look at the components they've got physically on screen, you know, there's not a lot there. By way of contrast, I did a little bit extra homework. I know, don't kill me. I watched as much as I could stomach.
Well, whoa, hang on. No one could possibly have assumed that you would go away and do homework of your own volition.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for that, guys. I watched as much as I could.
Was it part of your work for the Northern Independence Party?
It was part of the trying not to go fucking insane in the run up to the election in the middle of the night. So, kinda. No, right. It was. I watched as much as I could stomach of the remake of Conan the Barbarian with what's his face, Aquaman. Terrible film. Really bad.
Yeah, I saw that in the cinema, and I remember nothing about it.
Yeah,
that's how great it was.
It's not offensive, and in fact, a couple of the details are closer to the actual stories, but it just sucks. And by way, like, it just has so much. It's got so much piled on in terms of like, oh, we got these set designs and this special effects and these like quirky lines, and it's like it's trying so hard to accomplish with a ton of resources. Well, the original Conan the Barbarian managed with like really threadbare, just kind of like good costume design, great acting, good location scouting.
What I love about the original like Conan movie is there's just huge stretches with like very little or no dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great.
It's so good. It's like it's from an era of cinema where you were allowed to just have a bit of space to breathe on screen. Like the Blade Runner remake 2049 was good as well because it actually had a bit of that. Like it had space for you to actually just take it in. And Conan the Barbarian really, really does good stuff with that. Like,
yeah, I don't think the pacing of the film was like bad in itself either. Like, it's nice when films do that, and more films should. Please stop trying to cram like an entire fucking mini-series into a film, please.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
it wouldn't have been improved by like Whedon-esque one-liners.
No, God, no, nothing's ever improved by that though. I've had a thought here, right? So there's obviously other Conan the Barbarian material.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen none of that.
I mean, I've seen a long time ago when I was little. I saw, what was it, Conan the Destroyer?
Conan the Destroyer, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched it.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. And
I was going to say there's books in that as well.
Yeah, there are the books.
When I first saw this film, I'd read the like original. Is it just called Conan the Barbarian? The first novel.
I've read some of Conan the Barbarian. I actually haven't, like, it's one of the things where I picked up a book going, I should read the rest of that at some point, and then didn't. So I'm actually kind of tempted to go and do it now, but the only problem is I just don't have time.
No, you're in the middle of recording the podcast. Yeah.
Is there an echo in here, or is it just me? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay.
Sorry, you've been plugged into the fucking snarky hive mind tonight.
Apparently. But no, so like, no, David, I get where you're coming from, and it's like, this isn't from a particular fondness for Conan the character, so to speak, or anything.
It's not even so much fondness for the character or anything. I think it's more just like familiarity with the setting.
Not really. Like,
I mean, not like the specific setting, but more the specific vibe of a barbarian film. Because again, this is the first barbarian film I've ever seen.
Oh right, well maybe because I could tell you very little about the setting of Conan the Barbarian, apart from the fact that the oceans drank Atlantis at some point.
Like, I know bits and pieces of it, but only through exposure by way of H.P. Lovecraft, essentially. which I've read all of H.P. Lovecraft's works, and like he does crossover. It's really funny actually because Lovecraft is getting told by the Conan author whose name I am ridiculously
Robert E.
can't
Howard.
remember. Thank you very much. Robert E. Howard was telling, like, H.P. Lovecraft to kind of steady on with the racism a little bit as well. And you actually, like, read the Conan stuff and it's racist, right? And it's not like...
Oh, yeah, but there's racist and then there's H.P. Lovecraft racist, isn't
Yeah, there's like, I don't know, the way I'd put it is the racism of the writing of Howard doesn't have venom in it in the same way as, like,
It's
some
a
of Lovecraft's
Telegraph
writing
column.
does.
It's a Telegraph column versus a 4chan post.
I don't know how to interpret that, David. Like...
The severity and bluntness of the racism is much more... maybe not the severity, but the bluntness. It's more disguised in a Telegraph column, whereas in a 4chan post, it's just the N-word.
As I recall, I've only read the one book, and that was years and years ago. But I want to say that like the racism in like Howard's stuff is more sort of it's less like H.P. Lovecraft just generally hated everyone that like was, do you know what I mean, anywhere other than him on the whiteness spectrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the French were too swarthy for him, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like with Howard, it's more sort of like that kind of racism where like
Stereotypes?
yeah, stereotypes. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, it's that sort of thing.
It's like the interesting thing about it is Conan himself is not racist. Is interesting, and I'm open to correction because again I haven't read all of it. Right, so if it turns out there's a later paragraph where Conan just shouts the N word over and over again, then yeah, okay, fair. But from what I've read, he himself isn't, and he's just like he deeply appreciates the skills and all the rest of it. It's just that obviously the exposition and the setting are very much like yes, the wise Nubian race and all this kind of sort of nonsense. So it's like
Yeah.
But I'm prepared to, like, people will sometimes try out and go, well, Lovecraft was of his time, which not really. Whereas
I mean,
Howard...
even people of Lovecraft's time were going like, fucking steady on a bit there, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And Howard's an example of this, because, so, like, that's for like, the sole caveat. And what's really nice about the Conan film is it was made in the 80s, so of course, right, pretty much every film made in the 80s still has some kind of racial stuff under the surface a bit, if you, like, prod at it, but I don't really take it as particularly translating the worst parts of, like, Howard's more dated writing. So it comes off really well, and, like, I think it's held up quite fantastically, honestly, to this day.
I think it's great, like, the opening's brilliant with his dad telling him about the riddle of steel, and then just
so good.
The whole bit with the village under attack, and like there's just no dialogue.
Yeah,
and then
like for anyone who's not
James Earl Jones like hypnotizing his mom, but it's not like do you know what I mean? It's not like implied in any way. His eyes don't like have a special effect swirling on them or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just all done purely with his acting.
It's very Bram Stoker's, not even Bram Stoker, excuse me, Hammer House of Horror Dracula, sort of in the way it's done, which I think works. It's just like that intense kind of gaze. That's all you need. That gets the point across. And like, just a record, right, listener, if you've not seen Conan the Barbarian, hard recommend from me and Jamie that you like down tools and go watch it right now, because it really is excellent. And like, okay, tastes may differ and you may agree with David by the time you're done, but we definitely think it's worth a punt, like flatly.
It's fantastic.
I'm glad I gave it a go. I just didn't really get much from it. Like,
which is, it's like, it's fair. Like,
buckle the fuck
everyone
up because it's downhill from here.
Well, that's the thing. So, listener, as we spoiled earlier, we watched Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja, and you can guess what the third film was that we watched. You win a watch, because it's a bit of a, like, Red Sonja, by way of contrast, I'd say is a bad film. It's just a bad film. I don't even think it's particularly remarkable, and it definitely wasn't worth the rewatch.
Red Sonja is kind of weird because it felt like they'd made an R-rated kids movie.
It was weird. It was weird to me because they clearly looked at Conan the Barbarian and sort of picked the elements out of it and went, well, this worked and this worked and this worked, and they tried to do it again.
What I said when I was watching it, because I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, Because like I say, it's not a film that they would like show to kids, but it was the 80s, so
Yeah.
fucking, you know what I mean. What happened in the 80s was you bought a VHS player, and then you just let your kids watch American Ninja on repeat, so they wouldn't fucking annoy you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
now you've got YouTube algorithms for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching it the other night, and I was like, this is like someone trying to make Conan the Barbarian in a hurry.
Yeah.
Because
basically,
like Conan has like the wizard narrating at the start, about like Atlantis and that shit, and then his dad's like telling him the fucking like riddle of steel, and then you get the attack on the village goes on for a long time, and there's no dialogue. And by contrast, Red Sonja starts with some titles scrolling up the screen, like because they couldn't afford a narrator, and then like she like gets up off the ground, and a ghost explains like a backstory to her. It's just incredible.
It's like
it was a very weak start, but like I did actually kind of enjoy Red Sonja.
Yeah,
like,
I enjoyed
to some degree.
Yeah.
And
the
start was shit, but it gets a lot better as it goes on.
Yeah, but it definitely felt like an 80s kids film, but the somehow made wrong, because like there's that like repeated shot of like someone's head getting cut off and like spinning up in the air, and like people being like crushed, and like when they push the fucking priestesses into that pit, and you hear them all being like ground into paste for like that goes on for ages, and it's like, okay, this is a bit over the top, isn't it?
It's definitely like, I think what happened is, and this is my honest take on it, I think they looked at Conan the Barbarian and they went, what's great about this? And they wrote down several things which were correct, but they also wrote down some things which really weren't correct. Like, for example, the violence in Conan the Barbarian's great, and it's like, actually, rewatching Conan the Barbarian, the violence is relatively subdued. Yeah. Like, it's like efficient, and that's part of what makes it, honestly. It's like when Conan is fucking people up, he's fucking them up in a fairly subdued, semi-realistic way until it gets to like the big climax bits, at which case, they have a bit more fun with it, but only slightly. And like by contrast, Red Sonja, it feels like they went, right, okay, the violence is a big draw, so can we top what we did in Conan? And it's like, no, that's you've misread that quite badly. It also feels like one of these films that they did in one take. Like, it feels like they just went with the first take they got a lot of the time, particularly the whole scene at the start. So should we actually like just briefly summarize the plot? I don't want to spoil Conan too much. There is a barbarian. His name is Conan. Go watch the film. I will talk about other bits.
Darth Vader and two of the guys from Spinal Tap fuck up his village and sell him into slavery.
And thus begins his story.
Yeah,
hilarity ensues.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very, very good. But shall we summarize a bit of the plot of Red Sonja just to kind of get across how actually bonkers it is?
I would like to talk a lot about the plot of this one, because there's some interesting stuff in here.
The plot of this one is that Conan made a lot of money. They wanted more of that, so. But no, I can't stress enough how it hits all the beats of like an 80s kids action film.
Yeah,
it's got that same sort of like implied fantasy setting that they don't really do much like explanation of, and then there's the like plucky kid character who like grows on a personal journey throughout the film, and he's got like the big dumb sidekick, and the cast in it is like, I mean, apart from Red Sonja herself, who's shit, let's be honest, the cast is great. They've got Pluto from Popeye. They've got the Nazi that melts at the end of Raiders.
You
know what I mean? It's just like all the hits, really. But it's just it's very weird.
They basically had all the elements you'd need to make a pretty decent film. I just think it's let down by a combination of how it was shot, how it was paced, and which is mainly the editing, to be totally honest. And honestly, I can't stress enough, it feels like they didn't get the elements that were entirely good, and then they just filmed first take.
Well,
because like
Conan looks like really good.
Sorry, I think you mean Lord Calidor.
No, I mean like
the first film. Okay, yeah. All right, sure.
Yeah, Conan looks really good. I mean, obviously, like Lord Calidor looks good as well. Yeah, but like I mean, the movie Conan looks great. There's like clearly a lot of like money and production design went into that. Red Sonja looks cheap as fuck.
And bizarrely, at the same time, I can tell that I'm pretty sure it had more money pumped into it than Conan did. I can actually tell you 2 secs.
I actually kind of like
the bookshelf somewhere as well.
No, I actually just clocked it on Wikipedia. No, tell a lie. Actually, turns out the budget for Red Sonja was $17.9 million, which is in $80, so like quite chunky.
So
Conan
that's
was
probably, accounting for inflation, that's probably more than the last two Avengers films.
not sure about
Accounting
that.
for
but
cocaine though, like
yeah, exactly
actually
right.
spent on the film itself is probably quite low.
The unspoken part of the budget. Conan, meanwhile, was $20 million. So yeah, okay, Conan they spent more money on. Though I'd be interested to know how that was allocated, if that makes sense.
I don't know, I feel like they kind of like, yeah, because it does feel a little bit low budget in the setting and everything like that, but I think it kind of helps the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what
It
I mean.
sets your expectations nice and low, and then you're surprised pleasantly by the things that are happening in front of you.
If it wasn't for like the fucking decapitations and like, you know what I mean, slow grindings of people, like then it would be a good film to show your kids in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? It's like
So Red Sonja, like, okay,
it has that sort of like Sunday afternoon adventure vibe. You know what I mean?
Except,
that like films had back then.
Except for the content, because like, okay, so let's set this up. I'm going to read a little bit from Wikipedia here just to set it, because it's as decent a summary as any, right? So see if you can follow this. Sonja, a young red-haired woman, is raped and left for dead by the soldiers of Queen Gedren, a despot who murdered Sonja's parents and brother after she, Sonja, rejected the Queen's sexual advances and scarred her face. Answering her cry for revenge, the Red Goddess, who I can't even attempt to pronounce the name of, and I don't think that she's actually named in the film, unless I missed that bit.
And she does not come across as either red or a goddess, to be fair. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly, right. Very weird.
It was like live-action Will-o'-the-Wisp.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Obi-Wan Kenobi's wife.
Yeah. Appears to her and gives her heightened strength, stamina, agility, and fighting skills on the condition she never lie with a man unless he defeats her in fair combat. I don't think she actually said that during that exchange where she gives her skills
she didn't.
either.
No.
Right?
She does mention the vowing that later on, but never like who she vowed that to. It just sounds
yeah, exactly.
like something she decided to herself.
Very weird, right?
I just assumed that it was like, you know, something she came up with when she was like training with the fucking sword master guy.
It's very interesting reading the intent, which has been summarized, versus like what's actually on screen. And so that's the setup for the film, and it actually gives you
who directed Red Sonja?
It was directed by Richard Fleischer. Fleischer, that's the one.
What else?
It's another De Laurentiis thing, though. He produced it, I think. I'm sure I've seen his name in the opening credits.
He did. Yeah, they're both produced by him. But like Conan was written by. It's directed by John Milius, I think.
Yes, correct.
And written by him and Oliver Stone.
Yes.
Which was like, you know, it was always a surprise. Every time I watch that film, I always go, oh shit, yeah, Oliver Stone was involved in this.
The thing about Richard Fleischer is he directed Conan the Destroyer, which wasn't as bad as this, I don't think, on memory. I don't know.
What year was that?
1984, year before.
Yeah, so I guess it's just law of diminishing returns, I guess, then.
Maybe, actually.
I imagine they got him in. He did Conan the Destroyer. It didn't do as well as they were expecting, and so they like cheaped out on this one.
Well, let's see. How did Conan the Destroyer do? What was its budget? Conan the Destroyer only had a budget at $18 million. So, I wonder if
that's not that different to like $20 million on Conan, though, is it?
I wonder if part of that is just they reused assets from the original Conan film, and that thus they were like, "Oh, we can cheap out in a couple of million."
Maybe they also presumably didn't need to pay James Earl Jones or.
Spoilers, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so that's like that. That's the setup for a Red Sonja film, and it's very weird. And it immediately, like, the plot of the film essentially rolls around this idea that there's this magical artifact called the Talisman, which the gods use to create the world and all living things. It can only be used by women. Alright, cool. Here for it. Lathe of Heaven is a woman construct. And any man who touches it is just, like, destroyed. They vanish if they touch it. However, the Talisman has become too powerful somehow, and no one can control it. And so the film basically opens, after that intro with Red Sonja, it opens with a group of priestesses getting ready to destroy it under the consent of the gods.
Actually, the next bit is like fucking like Conan just riding across the hills for like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. So here's another thing: it's not Conan though. for some reason I can't make sense of, and I've been trying to figure out, was it a rights issue? It must have been, but he's actually Calidor, the Lord of Hyrcania, rather than just calling him Conan, because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's Conan. It's clearly written to be Conan after he succeeded and become, like, you know, an actual figure of note, essentially. But no, it's they called him Calidor in it for reasons I don't get, frankly. Surely rights issues. Do you know anything about that, Jamie?
Nah.
No. So there you go. If you can find out, do write in. I'd be interested to know. So yeah, they have scenes of him riding about the hills for some reason. Spoil.
He's supposed to be. The priestesses have like a line of dialogue about that where it's like, where's Lord fucking like Calidor? He's supposed to be here to watch us put the thing in the big pit, and then they decide to just do it anyway. And then, like I said, the Nazi turns up from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
What's their evil scheme?
And they make off with the talisman, essentially. Yeah. And that's it. It's like magical MacGuffin that can be used to destroy the world, can only be used by women, and obviously it falls
you have to keep it in a room full of candles because it's like one of those fucking solar power calculators you had in school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. That pretty much sets the vibe. And the rest of it is all just your typical kind of, like Jamie says, it's like a almost Saturday morning cartoon-esque kind of plot arc of, you know, plucky young man who Sonia meets at some point, who's a total misogynist when they first meet, but gradually it uncovers he's got like a heart of gold, and he's learning more to be a decent human being, and, you know, become a man. And Lord Calidor comes in, and he's like, you know, the voice of masculinity, and like he's the support, and it's very like it's by numbers.
Like I say, Bluto from Popeyes there.
Yep.
And they meet Bomber from fucking Off We the Same Pet.
What?
That's the fucking guy that won't open. She has to kill him to get the gate open in that one.
Oh yeah. Sure.
And the guy in the woods that's trying to have the fucking prince like kid drawn and quartered. That's this is the most incredible fucking credit I've ever seen on IMDb. He's the Yeti from the start of The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, fantastic. That's excellent. Love it. 100% here for it.
Excellent. Every single one of these films has a solid sci-fi connection then. Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So, yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think Red Sonja's an interesting study in, like, it's looking at something where there's pieces here where there could have been a good film, and yet it is really far short of it in my book. Like, it's interesting.
I think it's better than like something like fucking Doctor Who, right? Like,
yeah,
Doctor
okay,
Who,
I'll give you that.
Like, Red Sonja's the sort of thing we watched that as like kids, and it was great. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh, like it's like obviously you watch it as an adult, and it's like it's all over the fucking shop, and none of it really makes sense, and it's not great. But as a kid, it was like, it's just high adventure. You just fucking love it. Whereas something like the way they make stuff like the 9th Star Wars film or Doctor Who, where it's just end-to-end horse shit, but the defense is, well, it's a kid's film. But you can tell it's made with just like contempt for children.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's not something...
Actually,
you don't start from a place of what would like... Not to say that I think they started Red Sonja from a place of what would kids enjoy, but kids would enjoy... Like, I enjoyed that as a kid.
Yeah,
I find it hard to believe that as a kid I would have enjoyed like fucking David Tennant like running with the fucking Olympic torch or some shit.
I think that's a really good way to describe it. Like, it doesn't feel like it talks down to its audience. It doesn't feel like it's no. Bear with me here. I'm not saying it doesn't talk down. It's like, you know, like it's a bit too expositionary in places, but I don't feel like it's talking down to its audience. I think it's just not very good. Is the thing.
Yeah, no, I get you. That's not what I mean by talking down, though. It's very much. It feels like a man explaining what feminism is.
Okay, yeah, well, yes.
It's fully supposed to be a feminist kind of fucking story. However, it's entirely feminist from the point of view of dudes. And it kind of falls flat like that. Because every single time that they try and do something, a man must step in. Like, every fucking time that something's going on,
that's a fucking
a man must step in.
Isn't it? With the exception of the rare few films like the Alien series. Like,
much like H.P. Lovecraft, it's a product of its time.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not a product. I know that, but my point is that it feels like it's trying to actually be a thing, and it keeps falling down when it tries to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's trying very hard, but it's very limited by the people who have written and directed and everything else.
I don't think... right, sorry, hang on. I think the difference here is it's trying to do something outside its grasp, rather than going, well, we'll just write some muck and those pigs will love it, kind of thing. And that's kind of how I read it. You know, what makes... There's a sincerity to it.
And I think
it's an interesting thing for it. That's one of the things that interested me most, was like how it's trying to be like told from a feminist kind of point of view, and just like not really being up to scratch on that. But like, they gave it a go. Like, I can't really fault them too hard in a lot of regards for it. It wasn't handled particularly badly from a group of coked up guys in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how, especially, like, I mean, you might be right that they were probably trying to do a feminism, maybe, but like, I don't know how feminist it is, where like she's only going to shag a bloke if he can fucking like knock her out. That seems a bit dodgy.
This is the thing. It's failed feminism. It's a failed male ideal of feminism. That's the whole. Well, if I will only be with someone who is as strong as I am, etc. It's like, well, no, yeah, you're still encouraging fucking male on female violence. That's exactly what you're not wanting to do.
I'm going to give the movie producers a very, very slight degree of credit. I'm pretty sure that's from Robert E. Howard. Like, I think that's from the actual Red Sonja of... what was it?
H.P. Lovecraft should have told him not to.
Yes, H.P. Lovecraft, the feminist icon, turned to Robert E. Howard and went, steady on, mate.
I mean, yeah, this is just the energy that I get from it. It's trying to be a thing, and like you said, it's beyond its grasp.
Robert E. Howard and fucking H.P. Lovecraft and and Arthur Conan Doyle forming some kind of problematic Voltron.
But yeah, no, like there's a lot of moments in the film where it's everything goes absolutely tits up, and then a guy shows up and it's all fine, and the guy's usually Calador, and like it's fine, but like it's
a bit where the like they have a whole bit which is quite like, I actually enjoyed this tremendously. In the watery cavern, when with
the machine,
it shows
the
shows
death
up.
machine or the killing machine or whatever.
It was killing machine, and so this great kind of like stop motion-esque kind of. It's just great. It's just a wonderful thing, and it's all going terrible, and then Calador shows up, and they beat it because Calador showed up, and it's like that is in microcosm pretty much every action scene of the film.
He just turns up and saves the day over and over, and it very much had the vibe of like a lad watching over his girlfriend's shoulder as she played on the Xbox. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Occasionally taking the controller off her to do the hard bits. It was that like exact vibe. Do you know what I mean?
No, you need to dodge roll that. I'll give it here. Like, it very much feels like it.
Absolutely fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it was trying, like David said, and I don't feel like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to watch it again, but I don't feel like I completely wasted my time watching it.
Definitely
I liked it. Like, there's obviously, like, an enormous fucking gulf between Conan and Red Sonja, but I liked Red Sonja.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if it was just me, because I just like enjoyed trying to pick apart what were they trying to accomplish with this one, and it kind of gave me something to kind of hook me in a little bit. Whereas with Conan, I didn't have that, because it was just trying to tell a fairly straightforward story, and with that, I was like, nah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It could have been a better film, but it was probably never going to be as good as Conan, even if they'd like had a genius in to like do a script doctor work on it, and then they'd had more budget to take more shots, and I feel like Red Sonja would have been better if they'd actually taken some stuff out of it, frankly, and made it simpler. But I guess they made what they made, and it's like it's all right. And that is definitely, I think it's a towering achievement compared to the third film we watched.
Oh, I mean, I genuinely love the third film we watched. It's so like incredible.
It's got a few things which I think are hilarious and that I love, but the film as a whole is a dumpster fire.
It's fucking great, man. It's like, do you know what I mean? How can you, like, it's fucking...
Sorry, no, Jamie, this was the second worst Tom Paris focused episode of Star Trek I've ever fucking seen.
I was wondering if anyone else had clocked that he was in it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I clocked that immediately. I was actually sitting watching it. I was going, right, so we had Darth Vader and Conan. That's fine. I didn't clock anyone in that one because obviously I didn't quite recognise the Yeti from the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back by face. And then as the credit, as I had that thought, I seen Robert Duncan McNeil turn up in the fucking opening credits, and I just put my head in my hands.
Yes.
But it's fucking great, man. Literally the only person I remember being in it was Dolph Lundgren, because I haven't seen this since I was like, what did this come out, 1987 or something? So I was 10. Mm-hmm. Like, I haven't seen it since I was fucking that old, and I remember Dolph Lundgren, and that was it. And so I was like watching it, and I was like, who've they got playing Skeletor? Oh, it's Frank Langella.
Well, you're giving it away there. The third film we watched was Masters of the Universe, released in 1987, the He-Man live-action film.
Oh yeah, and it's like Tom Paris, Monica from Friends, and Cagney from Cagney and Lacey together at last.
Yeah.
I fucking love this. It was so stupid. It was great. They just clearly wanted to be making Star Wars.
Yeah, they really fucking did. Yeah,
It definitely felt like you would see it somewhere as like people holding it up as a curiosity, going like, oh, this is like fucking. Do you know what I mean? Like they tried to make Star Wars in Germany, and this is what they came up with.
Kind of. Like, I'll be honest.
This was the rejected script for Turkish Star Wars.
Yeah.
I watched this as a kid, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I am pretty sure most kids would...
Sounds like it did its job, then.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, we're about to rip into it mercilessly here, but in fairness, it did actually do its job back in the 1980s. So
like, the only bit of plot that I actually remembered is that the kid had to like play the
music,
the music at the end, and I didn't remember it until it happened. But specifically the bit where Chelsea Field shoots the speaker that's playing like fucking like music for some reason. I was like, holy shit! I remember everyone loved that bit as a kid. Like, yeah, fuck up that little like trumpet horn thing.
I remember a fair few things. I've got to say, the guy playing Skeletor, I loved. Genuinely, he did. I feel like he did his job chewing the scenery quite well.
I'm just going to do a quick Google before I libel him, but I want to say he is a notorious wrongcock.
He is. Yes, he's actually moaning about being cancelled just now. Because he's been chucked off a Netflix show.
Well, who knew Skeletor was a fucking dickhead?
Yeah. I've never watched. I never watched He-Man. It was slightly before my time, so like I didn't have any real background on this other than I know what Skeletor is, and I know that he goes, "Nyeh." That's it.
Yeah, it's like taken in isolation, like fucking notorious wrongcock Frank Lagella's like fucking performance as Skeletor is quite entertaining, but it isn't anywhere near as good as the fucking cartoon Skeletor. Let's be honest about this.
It's not. But for someone attempting to make a live-action Skeletor, which in and of itself is going to be problematic.
I mean, that's they're trying to make it like it's weird because it's still incredibly camp, but you feel like they're just not embracing it fully because he doesn't go like at any point. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's the real killer for anything. I think if you're going to do He-Man, if you're going to do Skeletor, you need to make him say "yeah." Like it's the only fucking thing that you can do to make it work.
I will say, the entire opening sequence with the seizing of Castle Grayskull, etc., I actually quite liked. And I feel like it was getting towards the right level of camp, but it never quite got into it, I
tell you who was the fucking standout performance in this film by a mile. It's Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future. As the fucking cop.
Yes, he was. My favourite scene in that is at the end where
he goes full James Spader.
Yeah, and he's got the pump-action shotgun versus guys with lasers. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I meant when he stays behind because he's like pulled on the alien planet.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, that too.
Why would I go home? I'm getting my hole.
The shotgun gives me power and authority in this place. I'm good. I'll
tell you what else. I tell you what else I did actually remember from when I saw it as a kid. The like incredible scene where they fucking steal the bucket of spare ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And then like fucking Chelsea Field's like, why do they put the meat on these like weird sticks? And then throws it away in disgust because it's the bones of an animal. That was like incredible.
I'd like to ask the question now and just get it out of the way. Why, when we watch them, barbarian films, did we watch this?
It's kind of like so.
Is it because Dolph Lundgren isn't wearing a shirt and has a sword? Is that the only qualifier for barbarians?
Well,
James is about to try to justify this in some rational way, but I'm telling you right now, I only picked this as a joke.
Like,
it was a cruel joke.
I mean, it was a cruel joke. I mean, my argument would be that He-Man.
He's got a sword and he's not wearing any pants. That's a barbarian. Like,
I mean, it kind of is. Like, here's the thing:
it's either a barbarian or someone from Fathers for Justice.
Turning me into Skeletor with those jokes. So, like, I guess what He-Man fundamentally is it's Mattel, like, 80s morning cartoon show take on the kind of barbarian myth, and what it does is it takes a barbarian myth and wraps it up into you could be like, masculinity symbol. I mean, that's literally why he's called He-Man, and it's about this wimpy young guy who, when he raises the sword and says, by a power of Grayskull...
You say wimpy young guy, but he's ripped as fuck.
In the film, he is.
Prince Adam of Eternia, isn't he?
Right, in the film he is, but I'm talking about the property that the film's based on.
In the film, do they actually call him Prince Adam?
No, he's constantly just He-Man.
He's just He-Man in the film, but I remember in the cartoon, Prince Adam looked like well hench.
I don't think he did, actually, by comparison.
I'm going to fucking Google.
He had a shirt on.
Yeah, well, anyway.
He wasn't a barbarian.
Well, that is actually
at that point, but
that is kind of like, that's kind of part of it. So I think it riffs on the barbarian icons and similar, but repackaged for like an 80s kind of, fucking Iran Contra informed audience, for want of a better expression. Like, it's very, it's got that.
Can't believe the CIA made He-Man wear a shirt.
Well, it's like we basically need to sell kids some plastic tat and also imbue them with notions of American interventionist policy being cool and good, actually. And the net result is you get shit like He-Man.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And if you expose Skeletor, the Skeletor doll to heat, the face gets all weird.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a good story. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, the CIA spent money getting them to make Osama bin Laden dolls that if you exposed it to heat, the face would turn into some kind of demon thing.
I need to get some kind of klaxon drop for whenever James mentions the CIA on a cultural committee.
Tell me I'm wrong, motherfuckers.
But anyway, I've put a picture of Prince Adam in the fucking Discord there. That motherfucker would bench press your dad, like, easily. You know what I mean? Look at him.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's pretty ripped.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that ripped, but I mean, I've got to confess, Jamie, I didn't do the extra homework for this one. I haven't watched an episode of animated He-Man since I was like, I don't know, 4.
I haven't watched it since I was like a kid, but you know what I mean? There was literally nothing else to fucking do in the 80s. Do you know what I mean?
No, it really wasn't.
I could probably name more Transformers than I'm comfortable with, if I'm honest.
I could probably have a go at naming fucking Thundercats, frankly.
I don't know. I think I draw the line there. Like, I mean, obviously I know Lion-O and and Mum-Ra
and Chitara. But anyway,
No, please keep going. You're making me feel so fucking young. It's great.
Like, what was that little fucking goblin cunt called in Thundercats?
What, Schnarf?
That's the fucker.
Have you ever heard the voice actors' outtakes for Thundercats?
Oh, I think yes. I think that used to do the rounds before Twitter. I think that used to do the rounds on Facebook every other week. People would be like, "Fucking."
Listener, if you ever watched Thundercats as a child, right? or just as a brain damaged adult, and you've never listened to it, definitely go look up Thundercats voice actor outtakes. They're really funny.
You'll find it on funnyjunk.com or something.
Yeah,
Probably,
I don't think they're real.
No, they're real.
Nah, I don't believe it. I think someone made them up for net clout.
No, they're real. Confirmed real.
Well, how can the Thundercats be real if our eyes are real?
Oh man, I'm not even. But my saving grace is I at least watched Count Duckula when I was a kid, and that fucking holds up.
Oh, I remember
That's
that.
excellent.
Yeah, Count Duckula's great, but the like claymation fella from Trapdoor would absolutely fucking batter him.
Oh yeah.
Let's put that out there right now. Like Burke would just fucking destroy Count Duckula.
I have watched Trapdoor as an adult because one of my friends, my best friend Christine, was like, "Oh, you should watch this." So we watched an episode of Trapdoor, and I was like, "This was fantastic. This was absolutely brilliant from start to finish." Anyway,
So anyway, where were we? Thundercats the movie?
did they make a movie? I've got no fucking idea.
I don't know. Probably not. Not a live action one.
Did it have Orson Welles in it? Is what I want to know.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
Everything should have
incredible.
Orson Welles in it, to be fair.
Yeah, but like, fucking, if they did make a Thundercats movie, I bet it didn't have like a fucking plucky like Earth kid who plays the synthesizer.
Fuck off.
That definitely feels like what are kids into these days? Bontempi keyboards. Get that in the fucking script.
Yeah, so like for the benefit of our patrons who we don't recommend watch Masters of the Universe, the setup to this is okay.
I do
David,
as well. Yeah, all of our listeners should be punished with this. Yes.
Make of that what you will. Plot for this is fair.
Who doesn't want to see like Lieutenant Tom Paris get like fucking dommed by Cagney from Cagney and Lacey in that one scene with the big collar? And fucking Swordsman or whatever the fuck that clown with one eye was called. What was
Man at Arms, I think it was.
No, the bad
it was
guy with
Blade. Blade.
Oh, that guy.
I was close. Yeah, Blade. Imagine who would win in a fight between him and Wesley Snipes for the title of Best Blade.
Yeah, there was Man with Knife strapped to face. There was fucking Bigfoot. There was the Queen and the Queen
Beastman,
Mother. Well, the four fucking henchmen.
Beastman is like just the most incredible fucking henchman ever.
I do love that Skeletor's second in command was literally called Evil Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, fuck's sake, yeah, I know. Like, if that's where you're starting with, just make Skeletor do the silly noises.
Yeah, just
You can't escape that.
I will admit, I thought the guy was doing a pretty good job given what he had to work with, but if he'd leaned into it hard and just went, we're going full camp with this, let's go,
Yeah.
it would have probably aged better.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do. He's not the campest Skeletor, but I do want to say Frank Lagella's Skeletor was the gayest, and I'm not going to explain that in any way. that was
Yes, it's
Yeah.
because he's so flamboyant. Like, he's not camp, he's flamboyant, and there's a difference.
yeah.
So, anyway, plot. Let's get this over with real quick. So, Castle Grayskull sits on the planet of Eternia, which is at the center of the cosmos, etc. Skeletor seizes it and intends to, use its cosmic power for his own nefarious purpose. There is a dude who's a locksmith who's developed a cosmic key that can open a portal anywhere using musical notes. He escapes with a prototype of the key, and wouldn't you know it, he ends up with a prototype on Earth. And
You say a dude. When you say a dude, you actually mean, what if someone with a chip on their shoulder about the Irish made Yoda?
I was gonna say he looks like what was that like fucking melted dude that sat next to Lando Calrissian in Return of the Jedi? He looks like his drunken uncle.
Yeah, nub, yeah. I hate that I know that.
Oh boy.
Trap sprung.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like what if like Lando's co-pilot, what did you say his name was?
Nien nub.
Right, if Nien Nub, if he got into the teleporter from The Fly with Guillermo del Toro, that's what would come out the other end.
Yeah. Checks out. Jesus Christ. You got away with words, Jamie. Fucking hell.
Oh dear.
The two orphan kids end up getting a hold of a device, the prototype, and it is none other
Were they
than...
both orphans?
I think they were, weren't they?
Monica from Friends was definitely an orphan. That was
I don't know about Tom Paris though.
No, I don't think he was. I think his parents were just like fucking. He was just a latchkey kid.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
I thought he was.
His dad's an admiral in Starfleet.
Yeah, don't mess with Generation X. They were out like fighting Skeletor while their parents were at work.
Yeah. They basically fuck around and find out with a device which draws the attention of like Skeletor's henchmen who decide to come and get it.
They turn up and batter the school janitor.
Yeah, which is quite good. I like that scene. Also, I should mention, I did skip a plot beat, which is that the dude who escaped with a prototype first gets it to He-Man, who attempts to like get into the castle and free the sorceress of the castle, or whatever. And that's when they end up on Earth and like the key scattered. So they send out a signal which draws, Skeletor stuff back to the kids. And meanwhile, He-Man and the others are hunting the key as well because they need it to save the cosmos, etc. And you basically like the plot beats the film from here.
My favorite bit about that, like escape from Castle Grayskull that they do, is they drop the key and like and then a grappling hook comes out of the portal to pick it up, and I was like, that seems incredible. Like, seems a very weird choice. Why did he not just pick that up as he went past? But it's because they need to establish the grappling hook as a thing. Because, like, they then use it to steal, like, a bucket of takeaway. And then, like, He-Man uses it to get on a flying saucer later on. And it just keeps coming back. Like, it's a main character, that grappling hook.
Credit, hook, grappling. God.
One of my favourite things near the start of the film is how like they had to use this special key to teleport inside Castle Grayskull, or they could have just beat up the puppet and just went through the secret tunnel that he had into Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, that was great. That you know what I mean? They fucking they sent Cagney to fucking like seduce the little Muppet dude and fucking steal his magic synthesizer. And she apparently didn't use her womanly charms to find out that he had just a fucking tunnel into the place they were trying to get into.
Pretty much.
It's not
it's a terrible plot. It's a terrible plot. It even has that plot beat of someone is mortally wounded and then magic fixes it at the end, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just generally it manages to be more of a mess than Red Sonja, and it feels kind of, I don't know, more cynical in a way. I don't know how to describe that, but it just does to me. It's like, rather than take the property on its own terms and try to explain the property in the film itself, instead, they don't really explain any of the property elements, but just stick Earth onto it to try and, it's just aliens, there's all the context you need. Okay.
Yeah. But the whole thing did remind me very much of Battlestar Galactica because just had fucking Cylons with a paint job.
Especially the costume design of Ultra Mega Nega Skeletor at the end. That's Battlestar Galactica as fuck.
Oh yeah, that is. I like the fucking not stormtroopers that they had as well. Absolutely pulled out the fucking first draft of Ralph McQuarrie's design type shit.
Yeah, I liked that they were all robots. Every time one of them gets killed, sparks come out because He-Man doesn't murder people.
Oh, right. So they were robots. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I think so. Yeah.
I thought that was just because he had a magic sword of some kind and sparks came off it because it's future tech.
I don't think anyone actually dies in the entire film.
No, Beastman gets piss thrown in his eyes, and that's about as violent as it gets.
Yeah, and Courtney Cox gets fatally wounded, but again, she gets healed at the end, so it's all okay. And then He-Man tries to spare Skeletor. Skeletor attempts to stab him, and he tosses him in a pit, and then there's a post-credit scene of Skeletor has landed in water, and he's doing, "I'll get you next time, I'll be back, He-Man," kind of shit,
Oh, I can't believe I missed the post-credit scene.
Yeah. I was straight out of the fucking cinema the second the credits rolled, to be honest.
Oh no, there was a post-credit scene, all true, the precursor to the Marvel schlop that would follow it.
I'm not sitting through 9 minutes of fucking credits just to have fucking some guy turn up and tell Skeletor.
I'll be honest, Fury. It's just because I remembered that it existed, I fast-forwarded to it.
I'm not even going to go and check it out at this point.
It's not worth it. Don't.
No,
really don't.
No, because it's not going to be actual Skeletor. It's going to be whatever the fuck that Skeletor was.
Yeah, like, well, this is a problem. Skeletor is a fucking skeleton, and this guy is a dude wearing a skeleton mask.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I can't. Apparently, there was a robot of He-Man in the cartoon, so I can't find out whether the guys in the films are meant to be robots.
I think they are. Like that's what I took from it.
Yeah, that was how I read it. Like, but
very strange fucking setting. A magical skeleton that uses robots.
Yeah, and
just
like
I mean,
raising
I
the dead or other skeletons.
I think the robots are like added in the film, because in the cartoon you can just sort of, in the cartoon they didn't like invade anywhere. They weren't actually a fucking like paramilitary force in the cartoon. They were just titting around in a fucking mountain.
Yeah.
Occasionally coming up with like wacky plots that like Scooby-Doo could foil.
Yeah.
But like in the film they've got to be seen as like an actual terrorist movement, so they need like black shirts.
Honestly, I just think they're like, it's got to be an action film, so He-Man and his friends, including Shotgun Cop, have to like tear their way, cut a swath through a bunch of robots, essentially, was I think the entire sum total of thought that went into that one.
What I have learned from the Wikipedia, though, is apparently Frank Langella said he couldn't wait to play Skeletor because his 4-year-old son loved He-Man. And Jack Kirby once said that the best New Gods movie was Masters of the Universe.
Huh.
And apparently the director had tried to get Jack Kirby to do the production designs, but the studio wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah, it makes sense, I suppose.
Hmm.
Well, like, it was a film. It got made.
Yeah. It had robots in it.
Ironically, it had the highest budget of all of the films we've talked about tonight, and it was by far the shittest.
Yeah. Tom Paris plays Synthwave to save the universe. What's not to like?
Courtney Cox is there.
Yeah. As she is in pretty much everything she's in.
Yeah.
I've never seen any like film or TV show with Courtney Cox where I didn't go, well, she was present.
Well, that's the thing. She doesn't like even in Friends. Like, going off topic a second, even in Friends, she's by far the least interesting and most just like straight man-esque character, I guess. All the other characters have like actual interesting, bits to them, whereas her thing is she's a bit neurotic.
Yeah. Everyone else has some wacky shit to get up to, but she's like the fucking. Very nearly said she's the Chandler Bing of Friends.
and yet, who does she end up with? Jamie is,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Did Friends finish? Did it at some point? I just
it
assumed
did,
that shit went on forever.
No, it's just been in reruns forever. Like they basically.
Are you telling me like Netflix paid like $1 billion or whatever they fucking did for a show that isn't even being made anymore?
Yes.
I mean,
I think they got robbed.
Yes.
Apparently not. Apparently it's it did well for them. They made a lot off of it.
I fucking hate Friends.
Oh, I can't stand it.
Why does it need to be on Netflix? Surely everyone has seen it like 100 times.
It's like it's the same
now.
It's the previous generation's The Office, essentially.
Yes. It's
That's
comfort background stuff that you watch a few times. Yeah. There's enough of it that you can watch it from start to finish, give it a little bit, and then just put it back on at the start again in the background, and it's just fine. It's just there. It's comfort shit. That's all it is.
I mean, that's what I do with The Wire, basically. Like, that's what it's there for. Except it's garbage. Like, I watched it as a kid and remember laughing at it as a kid.
Good.
Yeah, but very funny. Anyway, like I watched. By the power of Grayskull, will you shut the fuck up? Can I go now? Is that okay? Do I have your permission, Jamie?
Yeah, crack on.
Right, grand. So I remember watching Friends when I was a kid, and I found it funny at the time, but that was me like being 10 years old. And now, as an adult, I've caught a couple episodes of it here and there, and it's just absolute dreck. Just like the entire show is Monica is a straight white woman and a bit neurotic. Rachel is like the quirky hot one who gets by on her looks and just is a bit oblivious. Phoebe is also oblivious because she's stone cold stupid. Joey is the cool comic relief like himbo, essentially. Chandler is just
Remember when they gave Matt LeBlanc his own spin-off?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right? Sunk
How did that do?
Trace.
Yeah.
So badly. And then finally, Ross is a fucking serial killer. Like, they inexplicably decided it was sympathetic because they made him whiny. Like, that's it. That is Friends, and it's awful. And when you take the laugh track off of it, and it just becomes terrible.
I mean, that's most American comedy, though. If you take the laugh track off it, it's like something the FBI would train with.
I mean, I don't know. Seinfeld, parts of that hold up like quite well, but in comparison, I don't know. Most American comedy is a bit shit. I've been finding myself. I've been watching Parks and Rec the past like day or so.
I bet that hasn't aged well.
No, it really hasn't. It really, really hasn't. We got to the election arc, and like obviously, right. So I do elections for a living, and I'm sitting watching this, going, "This is
For who?
I really don't have to take this abuse,
No, you do. Sorry, it is actually part of the contract.
Alistair took tonight off. I could have just taken tonight off.
Yeah,
and yet,
but then we wouldn't have heard about how the CIA were involved in He-Man Masters of the Universe.
Now, hey, I didn't say he was involved in He-Man Masters of the Universe. That's a different property, different
just
brand,
Hollywood
right?
in general. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Keep up. What the fuck were we talking about? I can't even fucking remember that.
Friends for some fucking reason.
Yeah, God knows.
Parks and Rec.
Just like that's really weird as a show. And you're right, it hasn't aged well. And watching it, we've got to the whole election arc, and they've started introducing the celebrity cameos of like Joe fucking Biden and other people, and a really quite funny one of John McCain as well. Funny in the sense of it's like, oh yeah, in real life he'd have called her a cunt. But
also, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Like, so it's a weird show. But I will
in real
say,
life, he'd have just crashed a plane into the 9/11 the set.
But the writing in general holds up without a laugh track, whereas in comparison to Friends, which is infinitely more successful, it's just like it's so depressing. Genuinely, I'm convinced that the lead poisoning was still in effect in the 90s when Friends was being beamed into everyone's homes.
Probably.
Parks and Rec is also responsible for that amazing outtake about the Kim Kardashian.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, fuck, I've got a gift to show you after.
Okay, cool.
Okay, now.
But yeah. Parks and Rec's
remember that outtake is the brief moment where Chris Pratt was good.
I've got to say that also makes it a bit of a chore, to be totally honest. Watching.
Did you start with season 1?
So what happened was ages ago I watched it, and I watched all that was available on, I want to say, Amazon, and then it got to like the season before the election, like where it's just it ends on Leslie Knope as being asked a chance to run for office, but that means she can't date her boss anymore. And I got to there, and then it was like, now purchase for next season. And I was like, no, fuck off. But they're all up on Netflix, so the other day I resumed where I left off.
What you should do if that happens on Amazon, that there's actually when you get like to the thing and it says you need to buy the next season, the one trick I discovered to get around that is buy Justified on DVD, and then they just fucking put the rest of it on like Prime for free.
Do they?
No, that's just what happened. I bought bought the fucking box set, and then
you had me for a second there. I was like,
2 weeks later. Yeah, no, I that happens every time.
Listen,
I say
do not make purchases.
Every time I say something stupid as a bit, you just go, I'm not sure that's actually true.
Can't believe we need to stick that this is not financial advice disclaimer on that.
Yeah,
man, has Rob just been away too long? Is that it? Am I now the whipping them of the podcast, basically?
Yeah.
Fucking come back, Rob. Jesus Christ.
No, I have been saying this from the start. This podcast is just ruined without him.
God damn.
Yeah, I mean, if he was here, we'd have spent an hour talking about fucking gas prices instead of He-Man, and frankly, nobody wants that. So.
Oh, I'll be honest. I really want Rob's input on Masters of the Universe. Like, I want to know. I want to see what comes out of Rob after he's been forced to sit there, fucking Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, all right, Madrig's style, sitting all the way through it. I just want to know what his response to this film would be, and we will never know, because he very correctly said,
I'm going to ask him now.
He won't have watched it.
I'm going to go tell. Well, I'm going to tell him to watch it.
He's not going to, though. Why is he? We're literally recording the episode now. He's not going to retroactively, watch it and then say, "Oh, I would have said."
Well, wheels are in motion now. We'll get an update when he's back.
On Discord, at Rob, watch He-Man, ye cunt. Yep, that'll do it.
Oh, fuck's sake.
And you too, listener, should watch... No, you really shouldn't. It's dire.
No, you should. Again, you should.
I think I'm outvoted, but I really want to forewarn you, I could understand David going, I really didn't like Masters of the Universe. I could understand David saying, I really didn't like Red Sonja. I don't understand why David doesn't like Conan.
Just wasn't as good as Masters of the Universe.
Apparently not, no.
To be fucking clear, I did not enjoy this at all. Like I said, the second worst Tom Paris episode of Star Trek I've ever fucking seen.
What was the worst?
Threshold.
Yeah, Threshold, definitely. Having babies with, what's-her-face? Janeway.
Yeah.
God.
As a salamander. Normal.
What were the writers thinking is what I want to know for that. We should do another Trek episode at some point just to talk about that shit.
Probably trying to get revenge on him for He-Man. Why if they only had a Bontempi keyboard on board Voyager, they could have been home in minutes.
Actually, no, I'm pretty sure that was the plot of the Equinox 2-parter.
Oh, fuck off, David. Only you could pull out that. God damn it. You and fucking Mike What's-His-Face from Red Letter Media. Jesus.
Oh, I don't think I'm that cynical. Come on. Almost, but not there.
I don't know. Put the two of you in the room, give you alcohol, see what happens.
Ask me about Star Trek Picard. No, don't do that.
David, what do you think about Star Trek Picard?
No.
Is it better or worse than He-Man Masters of the Universe?
It's worse. It's worse because it's far fucking longer.
I'm gonna say that He-Man Masters of the Universe is better than all new Star Trek. Although people are gonna fucking at me that the Family Guy knockoff one is good, and I haven't seen it, so stop fucking yelling at me about it. Do you know what I mean? The more
Did they
people
do a
tell
Star
me,
Trek knockoff?
No, I'm talking about Lower Decks.
Oh, that right? Okay.
Yeah, the more people yell at me to watch Lower Decks, the further away from Lower Decks I get. So
I watched the first episode of that Strange New Worlds, and it's actually quite good. It's still got the potential to be absolute fucking dog shit, but it felt like Star Trek.
It's gonna
again,
be
which is
absolute
nice.
fucking dog shit, man. Don't get my hopes up.
They managed a full episode and it wasn't dog shit.
Right now, I am Jeremy Renner crying in the rain. Right? Don't give me hope.
He's seen things.
Listen, there was a full episode and it wasn't bad.
That's how they get you, David. This is the fucking...
No, it's not how they get you because they've done fucking 4 seasons of Discovery and they haven't fucking managed that yet.
They're saving up all the bad for a later episode, and it's just going to drop on you like a cartoon animal.
Yeah, this is the Sonic the Hedgehog cycle is what this is. There's the Trek cycle now. It's the Sonic the Hedgehog cycle. Oh, the first episode of his new property doesn't seem that bad. Crushing disappointment, And yet you line up to take it again and again.
I'll give it a chance. I'll continue to give it a chance. I enjoyed the first one, so I've got no reason to believe that it will be as shit.
I want it to be good. Do you know what I mean? I want and it's Anson Mount doing like Star Trek, the original series, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds so good. And I'm gonna get invested in it, and then like 4 episodes in, they're gonna do some Doctor Who shit where he goes back to like sit on the bus with Rosa Parks or something, and I'm just gonna drink bleach.
That is absolutely yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I will watch it for you, and I will tell you whether or not it ends up shit. If it ends up shit, you don't have to watch it.
Fair enough.
I will be the fucking canary.
I'm feeling distinctly like Rich Evans in this relationship with you, David. I have to say, both physically and mentally, and spiritually. Leave that one to
on the couch with the bottle of whiskey.
Rob's rejecting his fucking pod duty here.
Is he? I don't blame him.
He's refusing to watch He-Man.
I'll point out, he is still on holiday.
Well, how many times does he need to be on holiday? You know what I mean? He's been gone about like 8 weeks.
Only fucking once.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Look forward to the late summer holiday that we all take, and Rob has to solo 2 weeks.
Oh, I would pay money hand over fist to have Rob record a podcast for 2 weeks on his own. Absolutely 100%. I would
yeah,
be all
Like
in.
EU regulations.
Everyone is going to love listening to fucking gasprices.wav.
Gas prices in strange impersonations.wav, right?
Reading the minutes of the European Parliament in Jordan Peterson voice.
Exactly.
We definitely should have pushed this back till Rob was back off holiday, because the perfect opportunity for him to do is like fucking incredible like Jordan Peterson impression was when Conan meets the witch that lives in a hut.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Jordan, when he's going in the hut with the witch, I was like, Jordan Peterson wouldn't like this. She's going to use her feminine chaos on you.
Hang on, fucking thunderbolt through my head. Jordan Peterson's entire theories are based on him reading the Conan books when he was young. Changed my mind.
No, they're not. Someone worked it out, and it's Minecraft. Because he talks about the witches who live in swamps, and as far as some like fucking someone, I'm going to assume on no evidence, was like a professor of mythology. Someone on Twitter said that the only like thing they could find where witches lived in swamps was Minecraft,
Which is true.
That's Baba Yaga. That's total horseshit.
I thought Baba Yaga lived in a house.
That where did the house walk around in, Jamie?
Well, it had legs; it could go anywhere.
Oh my
She just
fucking
moved
god!
it wherever the weather was nice.
Do you know, I'm going to be recording a podcast episode.
Baba
with
Yaga on the fucking beach. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to be recording a podcast episode with Com Radio about mythology, and I'm going to make a point of bringing this shit up now, just so I can actually talk about it without this horse shit in the background. Goddamn.
Well, won't that be a rare treat for Com Radio?
Oh dear. I don't really know if I've got anything left to say about fucking He-Man.
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
or Parks and Rec, or fucking anything else.
no, there's not really much to say, is there? I mean, it's like, it's barbarian films. We watched 3 of them. We're never going to do a free film episode again.
We watched two barbarian films and He-Man.
It counts.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't count.
he's a barbarian. Like, and I picked this because I just like I wanted a third pick because like people said we should do 3. Although apparently doing 3 films is like fucking verboten now. Something changed in between like the genesis of this episode in 2020 and us recording it tonight when everyone's suddenly like shit sick of having to watch 3 films at a time.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what's caused this, right? First off, that fucking boat. Secondly, the abandoned James Bond episode that we don't speak about.
Yeah, that's true.
There's also the
That's
fact
why
that
we don't do 3.
me and David have also been, David and Alistair have been really fucking busy lately, so it's like, hey, watch these 3 episodes on top of everything else you've got to do. Like,
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. We wouldn't have to stoop to this if David watched Justified.
David, we are begging
I
you,
know.
please watch Justified.
I know, I'm gonna get
The more you nag David to watch Justified, the further away I get from Lower Decks.
Just in the turbo lift, hurtling towards the bridge as we speak. Oh, fuck me. Do you know what, though? I would have preferred watching Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, and Red Sonja. That would have probably been a better night. I don't think anything was gained from watching He-Man, apart from getting to look at Tom Paris.
Nah, I mean, like, you got to see like Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future run around with a shotgun and like mistake like alien robots for the Russians.
Oh, I forgot that bit. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. I've censored
the
this
80s.
movie in my mind in real time, watching it, because it was that dire.
Yeah. The weird link there between that and like fucking Conan is Conan was directed by the guy that did Red Dawn.
Huh. That's a film I've not seen, actually. I've not seen Red Dawn.
I remember it was great when I was like 13 or so. It's probably shit.
Probably something to look at later, I think.
Yeah. Well, they did a remake, didn't they? So
Oh.
Usually if it gets a remake, it's not terrible. Like, usually.
I don't think that rule holds up.
No, I think the remakes tend to be terrible. I don't think the base product is, necessarily.
Nah, I mean, there's some shit where there's some shit where they just keep remaking it like over and over, and you just go, why is this like? I don't think it's ever been good.
What is Batman?
Yeah,
Hey, The Batman was quite good. I enjoyed that.
I've still not seen it.
Is The Batman a barbarian film?
No, he's wearing pants.
Well, okay, conclusive.
Well, by that argument, I mean, so's fucking Prince Adam, so... And
Yeah, but
he
he's
wears
not
his
in the-
fucking
he's not in
underpants on the outside as well.
Yeah,
He's
but
not
he's
in the
not
film,
in
though.
it. No.
Yeah, that's why they took him out of the film, because if they put him in, it wouldn't be a barbarian film.
Now with Prince Adam, 50% less barbarian.
For fuck's sake.
No, I mean, I was gonna pick something like fucking Hawk the Slayer or fucking Beastmaster or some shit, but then I just couldn't be asked to find a pirate copy of those, so I thought, like, why not He-Man?
Hawk
Well,
the
I don't
Slayer
thank
would
you
have
for
been
it.
a good third. I don't know. Look, all I think I have to say in summary for tonight is watch Conan the Barbarian 1982 version. It's really good.
Yeah, don't watch the fucking modern version with him out of Game of Thrones, because I can't
So-
remember it.
It's really, it's just
That's the worst endorsement I can give a film. Do you know what I mean? I don't remember it. Like, I fucking remember Rise of Skywalker.
yeah. Well, right.
Imagine being worse at your job than J.J. Abrams. Sucks to be whoever directed Conan in, like, whatever year that was.
Yeah, it's depressingly just there. You know, it's like, oh, this is. I will say though, if you do have 2 minutes, watch the trailer for it, because the trailer is like peak 2000s kind of era. You know, it's got like butt rock in it for the trailer, and I don't understand why.
Does he kick someone into a well because that went like so gangbusters in 300?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Like it's got that kind of thing going
See,
for it.
interestingly, 300's not a barbarians film,
No, it's not. It's fascist propaganda.
but none of them are wearing pants.
Why is it not both?
Well, because they're an organised army.
Yeah.
You can't have an organised army of barbarians.
Yeah, a barbarian is solo or leading a small warband. It's not the same thing as when you've got like an organised army.
Yeah.
So 300 isn't a small warband.
No, it's not. It's got to be like sub 12, I think.
Yeah, it's got to be
Right.
like a couple of dudes. You can't have 300.
Yeah,
And not barbarians if it's 300. They're
and
like
it can't be
fucking-
on behalf of like a kingdom or something like that. You know, like a barbarian might come in to bail out a kingdom, but they're not like, you know, on behalf of the kingdom. There's important rules to this, right?
Right. So Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
not a barbarian.
No.
He wore pants.
Yeah.
Like, Conan stops being a barbarian when he becomes, like, a king.
Yeah.
That's why it becomes the Destroyer.
No.
Yeah, probably. I can't remember that one. don't know
If I
that
recall
happens after he
correct,
becomes
if
a
I
king
recall
or not.
correctly, he's still a barbarian in Conan the Destroyer. I think. It's later that he like becomes king. I don't know. Interesting character, anyway. It was one of the first depictions of like a straight up heroic character having depression, like as an ongoing struggle, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, like Robert, E. Howard, he had depression, and Conan was a little bit of a self-insert, not like hugely, but a little bit. Like he was informed by his own life experience, and so he wrote Conan as So he wrote Conan as having like these great melancholies where he just like he would when he wasn't out being a barbarian and he like had money, he would just like fall into a like deep slump of like ennui because and then he'd get himself back when he went out to do the heroic shit essentially. Which I
was always tired of being a king.
Yeah,
I remember that from the comics. That's the one other like Conan thing I've read.
Yeah,
Marvel did Conan comics back in the fucking early 90s.
It's in the film too because they make a score and what does Conan do but fucking practically drink himself to death because he's what's the point?
Oh, that is such a when they get hauled before fucking King Osric, that is such a fucking banger of a scene. Like
it's so good. Like,
Max von Sydow is like fucking just career best, I think.
Like genuinely, I don't think there's a shit scene in that film, which is high praise from me.
No, it's great. Like even the bit where he goes full Paul Mason, gets fucked up on spice, and lays out a camel with one punch is great.
Yeah, it's just excellent. Sorry, Mason the Barbarian. God damn it. You're just not properly understanding Marxism from a barbarian perspective.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Come to Samaria, the revolution is happening.
Are many adherents who like to draw fan art, there is inspiration for you, please.
Oh dear. Oh, yeah. Excellent. Cool. Can't wait to see that fucking thing. Jesus Christ. Oh. Alright, okay, I think that's probably as good a place as any to fucking end this, isn't it?
Wait.
Yeah, people are welcome to draw fan art of that if they want, but also someone should Photoshop Paul Mason's face onto the camel that gets laid out with one punch.
David might do that. Give him time. Oh, there is one thing we haven't discussed.
Oh, right, okay.
Is Dunk a barbarian film? Because there was much consternation about this from Alistair.
I think everyone in that wears, like, famously they wear pants in that, don't they? But it does have a Conan in it.
The worm's not wearing pants.
No, it's true, the worm might be a barbarian. Doesn't have a sword, though.
Guys, I just realised something. Sorry, total off topic. You know, right, Conan the Barbarian, the Wikipedia article, it's got a little medal on it saying it's a featured article, which means they're considered to be some of the best articles Wikipedia has to offer.
Okay.
Just randomly, people have decided that Conan the Barbarian's Wikipedia write-up is one of the best articles on the entirety of Wikipedia.
Fair enough. Well, if you didn't like the film, then you can at least appreciate the Wikipedia.
Yeah. Is it even better than the fucking, like, famous page they've got on anime?
Oh, you know what? Let's hang on.
What?
Yes, it is officially.
It's a running joke that, like, the Wikipedia page for anime is longer than, like, the Wikipedia page for several, like, world historic events of great importance.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Actually, the Conan article is longer than the anime article.
Really?
And better sourced. Jesus fucking Christ. Man. Sign equality if it gets that much investment. Surely, that's how it works, right?
Yeah. Must be.
Anyway, let's fucking shoot this in the head. That says we're back.
How long's the Wikipedia article on anime?
Oh, no idea. Also, David, I don't think you mean shoot in the head. I think you mean heroically stab in the heart and then decapitate. Like, that's got to be how you do it. True barbarian style.
Oh no, you can just shoot people with lasers because that's barbarian shit, apparently. But yeah, let's just fucking kill this. So we're back.
I mean, I'm willing to bet there's a D&D setting with fucking.
Let me end it, please.
There is, you know,
Fucking
Jamie.
hell.
Pathfinder has all that shit built into it. There was actually an original D&D First Edition module that included, like, the whole thing about it was that it was a crashed spaceship that you were doing adventure through, and it gradually revealed it.
So that's us back. Lucky us. Lucky you. We'll be back with normal episodes coming out every Thursday-ish. We're going to try and get better at that, we promise. And
Yeah, buy merch.
yes, buy merch. The merch store is still up.
Merch. Merch.
praxiscast.tmail.com. And streams are getting reduced for a little while, so they should only be Thursdays. If this episode comes out on time, which I just promised it would, which was probably a bad idea of me, there will not be one tonight on release day. But we should be back to Thursday streams as of the following week, and maybe occasional Mondays. We might be able to pull off some Mondays, but they won't be regular going forward.
And I have an announcement on that. It's actually, seriously, no shit, hold me to it happening. The Elden Ring stream returns this Friday the 13th, which I'm just realising is a bit of a cursed day, so oops. But yes.
Yeah, I'll endeavour to have this out by Monday.
Sake. So, that's pretty much it. Listen to Peace at Home as well. It's a very good podcast. It is very good.
David was on it this week.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's how you know it was at
This
one
week
point
in the
good.
future. Like,
Yes.
I forget how the schedule works.
It doesn't, I
it's
think,
more
is what we've
complicated
discovered.
than Nibbles. But yeah, so that's it from us. We will be back again next week, and we shall hopefully have a bonus out to you fairly soon as well.
Yeah,
Because,
so subscribe to the Patreon.
Yes, subscribe to the Patreon for that. We're pulling Robin while he's still on holiday and doing an intercontinental fucking recording, so look forward to the joys of audio delay. That's going to be a fucking cluster.
the audio delay and Rob being hepped up on fucking goofballs and shed wine or whatever the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, high on small plates. So yeah, look forward to that as well. Patreon.com/PraxisCast. And this has taken far too long to get through, so we'll just kill it here. Bye.
Bye.
Don't say, David, don't say goodbye. Say good journey.
Fuck off.
May Crom give you strength.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.